This is a skyscraper that nearly destroyed the New York City skyline due to one major design flaw. In the 1970s, the banking behemoth Citicorp wanted to build a 59-story skyscraper right here at the corner of 53rd and Lexington. But there was one major roadblock, and Peter's Lutheran Church refused to relocate. So they decided to bargain for a deal. They granted air rights for Citicorp to build above the church. This made it very inconvenient. The chief structural engineer of the project, William Lemessurier, had an ingenious idea while eating at a Greek restaurant. He scribbled on a napkin the idea to build 4 stilts, not on the corner of the building, but in the middle, along with a chevron bracing structure, which acts like an exoskeleton that sustains it. But the building could still sway in the wind, so they had to install a 400-ton tune mast damper at the top of the building, which is basically a gigantic balancing ball. Originally, the joints of the chevron structure were supposed to be welded together, but the construction company, as in the case all around New York City, decided to cut costs. And instead of welding, they bolted the joints together, which wasn't nearly as strong. And everything seemed fine. But William Lemessurier's office received a call from a student by the name of Diane Hartley, who claimed that the building was especially vulnerable to quartering winds. Those are winds that hit the corners of the building, which generally won't be an issue because the corners tend to be the strongest part. According to the New York City building codes at the time, they only cared about perpendicular winds, which hit on the sides of the building. So Lemessurier decided to measure how vulnerable the building is to quartering winds. He determined that a storm could come once every 16 years that could very well topple the building. Not merely collapse like you would see in demolition sites, but actually tip over. That would cause a domino effect that would topple building after building after building all the way to Central Park, decimating the New York City skyline. This would have endangered the lives of tens of thousands of people, but they did emergency repairs in the dead of night in order to weld steel reinforcements at 200 points in the building. But why didn't this cause panic? Well, there was a newspaper strike at the time, so no one got wind of the story. But the story gets even more complicated. Repairs started in early of August 1978, but later that month, Hurricane Ella was on direct course towards the city, which was spelled disaster. The NYPD had to make an evacuation plan in a 10-block radius. The Red Cross had to set up 2,500 volunteers on standby. Luckily, the hurricane veered off by September 13th, and repairs were finished by October. The building is now stable, all thanks to a student, Diane Hartley, and a structural engineer that was willing to admit that he was wrong, William Lemessurier. Stay stable, my friends, mentally, physically, but most importantly, structurally.